Thank you for joining us today. We'll now get started with the webinar. Hello and welcome to Marketing Your Online Store, a Q&A with the experts. Our agenda today will include meeting the panelists. We will then go over an overview of the marketing channels. Next, we will answer your questions. These were questions that were sent in through social media or as part of the webinar, sign up. Lastly, we'll have a live Q&A session, so please use the hashtag #SellMoreOnline to tweet your questions as we go along. So now we'll start with the panelists. I'll be your moderator. My name is June Clark. I'm a marketing consultant here at Volusion. I've got about 5+ years working with sales, marketing, and technology, and I've been with Volusion for 3+ years working with e-commerce websites. I love online shopping and social media, using both of these as a way to help increase conversions for my clients. And I do work with clients across varied industries.
Hey guys, my name is Meg and I'll be your SEO panelist today. I have 7 years of experience in marketing and copywriting, and then the past 3 years have been focused on SEO exclusively. I'm especially passionate about writing copy that tells a story, providing a great user experience, and staying on top of trends and updates with the search engines. My clients have included startups, nonprofits, Fortune 500 companies, obviously e-commerce shops, and then both local and multi-local brick-and-mortar stores.
Hi, my name is Chelsea, and I'm a Senior Search Marketing Specialist here at Volusion, where I focus primarily on pay-per-click advertising. I've been working with paid search advertising channels and clients for over 5 years now, with working with Volusion and our clients for over 2 years. In my career, I have been working with over 500 businesses across the globe to kickstart and optimize their PPC success. I have also worked alongside Google to implement high-profile and flighted campaigns.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sean, your Shopping Feeds panelist for today. I've been at Volusion for 4 years now, and I've had 2+ years of experience as a product listing ads specialist. I'm certified in about everything Google has to offer, including AdWords, analytics, and shopping, and I'm a big fan about using data to inform our marketing decisions to move forward.
Hi y'all, my name is Michaela Casey. I'm a search marketing specialist with a focus on social media here at Volusion. I have over a year of experience working with an assortment of e-commerce social media campaigns, and I'm a proud supporter of small and local businesses. I'm also an avid online shopper and a sucker for a free shipping offer.
Hi, I'm Josh. I'm a senior marketing consultant here at Volusion. I work with our clients on their marketing service programs. I have 15 years experience in advertising and online marketing, and with 2.5 of those years here at Volusion. I'm also responsible for hundreds of Google Analytics setups, and I occasionally write for the Volusion blog on topics like Google Analytics and how to get more traffic for your store.
So next we'll go through an overview of the different marketing channels, and we'll get started with SEO first.
So what exactly do we mean when we say SEO? Basically, while many traditional marketing practices are at the heart of great SEO, it's also a rule-driven practice of adapting to the shifting criteria of the larger search engines. Google creates algorithms to decide how relevant a page or domain is to specific search terms and how beneficial that page will be to the user. So we help website SEO by learning these algorithms and adapting to their changes, which usually involves both technical and creative tactics that will strengthen the website's visibility in the search engine results pages, and also their usability. It's not about gaming or manipulating the search engines. It's really on focusing what the user wants and expects when they search for a particular page. This means that SEOs are ultimately on the same side as Google. We both want to provide relevant, great content, beautiful design, and an excellent web experience for the user.
So with PPC, we use targeted keywords and ads to drive qualified traffic to the site from the search engines. The two biggest PPC platforms are just like the two biggest search engines, and they are, of course, Google and Bing. It's important to note, however, that when you are deciding to advertise with Bing, you are advertising, or you can actually advertise on both Bing and Yahoo together. PPC is auction-based, so users bid on their keywords that they're interested in and compete with other advertisers to appear on the results page. And then because you are actively bidding on keywords, PPC is a great way to outbid your competition since the ads appear on the top and the right-hand side of the search results page. In fact, we found that 45% of search users are actually unable to identify or differentiate between the ads and the natural listings. Also, with PPC, we're instantly driving traffic to a website with the click of a button. So when we turn that button off and put the campaign on pause, traffic to your site will come to a screeching halt. And then finally, it's important to mention that with PPC, you're truly only paying for when somebody clicks on your ad.
Speaking of paying for ads, another way to pay for listings is using shopping feeds. Product listing ads are an e-commerce first campaign type, which means that your landing page is always the product page. These are also called comparison shopping engines or just product listing ads. Different from PPC is that these ad types are not keyword-based. Instead, they use the product data from your data feed and match that up with user search queries. It provides the customer with a product price, the title, the image, even the domain name right there in the search results, as you can see highlighted on this screen. A big benefit of this is that 84% of users cite price as the largest influence of purchase, and this is getting that in front of them before they click onto your website. This means higher quality traffic, which is going to mean higher conversion rates.
All right, so if you're looking to create a voice for your brand online while increasing brand awareness and brand loyalty, you should consider launching a social media marketing campaign. 50% of online shoppers have made a purchase in the past based on something that they've read on a social media channel. This could be from a friend's recommendations, a blogger they follow, or even a great product review. Currently, 81% of small and medium-sized businesses are using social media as part of their overall marketing strategy. This is where many of your current and potential customers come every day, and you definitely want to be where they are. Social media makes your brand more discoverable. Each social network also doubles as a search engine, allowing users to quickly search for your brand. Social media also complements your SEO efforts as it signals authority as well as relevancy and engagement to the search engines. It's not uncommon for a brand's social media profile to show up in the SERPs when their brand name is searched. Real-time conversation is also possible for those who are active on social networks. It's much faster for a customer to mention your brand on Twitter, tag you on Instagram, or tag your brand in a post on Facebook than it is for them to go to your website and email you directly. Lastly, if you're looking to drive traffic to your e-commerce store, consider using Facebook ads and Twitter cards aimed towards your targeted audience or former customers.
Okay, well, my job today is to help you turn your traffic into sales, which you may also hear us refer to as conversions. Web store bounce rates and abandoned cart rates hover around 70%, and average conversion rates are about 2.25%. So small improvements to your marketing and site structure can make a big impact on revenue. We use analytics and other data to see how people arrive on your site, what they do while they're there, where they leave, and if they return. As you look at your own data, remember your store does not live in a bubble. Keep in mind seasonality, industry trends, competition, and search engine algorithm changes when drawing your conclusions.
So next, we'll go into answering your questions. Again, these were ones that we received via social media and the webinar registration sign-up. We're also still taking questions throughout the webinar that we'll answer at the end. So our first question is, how would you market an e-commerce site to a specific customer base, such as architects and interior designers with a $0 budget? So this usually would fall under SEO and social media. So Meg and Michaela, what do you have to say about this?
Yeah, this is a great question. Although understanding every in and out of SEO does take time, it's also free if you use standard practices. So I would recommend learning at least the basic SEO best practices, and there are actually a number of really great free resources on the web that will take you through these basic steps like researching keywords, writing great metadata, and writing relevant content that contains those keywords in a natural way. On that note, hitting a target audience also involves a lot of off-site content strategies so that you can meet your audience on the channels that they're interested in. So for example, for architects and interior designers, this might include blogs that write about architecture, interior design, industry news resources, even schools for the job field, and also complementary but not competing businesses. The one caveat I would say there is that as you build these relationships, you should really focus on how you can help each other and not just on how they can help you.
If you're limited by a small budget, you should consider launching a social media campaign and begin engaging with your audience on a variety of social networks. We would suggest Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, or Houzz. Houzz is a niche social network for those in the interior design and home decor industries. And these campaigns can help you target specific industries easily without having to use a large budget.
So our next question is, which social networks are most effective? So Michaela, which ones are the best ones?
So we get this question a lot with clients finding out which avenue they should go. The industry that you're in will play a huge factor into which social media network your business can be successful on. That being said, Facebook's the most common network for all of our clients to see a return. The fashion industry tends to do well with visual networks that include Facebook, Instagram, Polyvore, and Pinterest. Technical industries that may be labeled as having uncool products can find success on YouTube with how-to videos, as well as engaging with your audience on Facebook. If your business is mainly B2B, I'd recommend focusing your efforts on LinkedIn. Twitter is also a great avenue to connect with those in your industry, as you're able to easily strike up a conversation. It is important to note that you don't have to be great at all the social networks, but pick 2 or 3 and focus your efforts there.
Our next question is, I'm confused on how to effectively start a pay-per-click campaign. So Chelsea, how would you get started with a PPC campaign?
So this is actually one of my favorite questions. So I was really excited to see this one come through the registration. So when you're trying to set up a PPC campaign or even an account for the first time, you'll really want to identify the different areas that you'd like to focus on. So think about your top sellers or any specific products you'd like to see move a little bit faster. Next, you'd want to create a campaign or campaigns using those focus areas as ad groups. The ad groups will really act as little envelopes to hold different themed keywords and different ads as well. Then you'll want to start brainstorming different ways to populate your products or services in a search. And if you're really not familiar with how you could or would or what would show up on a search, then don't hesitate to do some light Googling as well. Then once that's done, throw those keywords into a keyword tool generator, and that's going to be really dependent on whatever platform you're using. So use that tool and identify different positive keywords, negative keywords, and even bid prices too. But try to really go for keywords that are or closely describe the product if it's more niche. But also make sure to shy away from any really vague general keywords and try to use more long tail keywords. They'll actually help tighten your traffic and lower costs in the long run. And just also be mindful of any competition and price. That'll also be available in that keyword tool that you use. When you're done with all of your keyword research, then you'll want to start setting your match type and bid prices. For your bid prices, I definitely recommend starting at the ad group level and then optimizing your bids at the keyword level once you've accrued some data, just so you're making sure that you're doing that with informed decisions. The last step in actually creating the account is to write relevant and enticing ads. One great way to do this is to make sure that each of your ad groups have unique ads and you're sprinkling in some keywords strategically within your ad text as well. Then once the campaign or campaigns start accruing some data, make sure you're going back and reviewing and optimizing as necessary. It's really important to remember that you're actively spending money on your advertising efforts, so it's really in your best interest to not leave it on autopilot and really see how and where your money is being spent. Oh, and my little tip, try sketching out your campaign or account first before you get started. It'll really keep you super organized and cut down on the headache. So the little chart is on the right-hand side of the slide. Take it and pop your own information in there and you should be good to go.
Thanks, Chelsea. I know that's a lot of information. Definitely a good way to get started. Our next question is, if you had a $1,000 budget to advertise, where would you invest that budget? Most likely this is going to be shopping feeds, maybe PPC, even Facebook. So Sean, Chelsea, and Michaela, what would you say about this?
Yeah, I'm going to pop in here first. So assuming that this is a monthly budget is based on advertising spend rather than just what you're willing to spend to market your site in general, we've got a few recommendations. First, before you even begin spending money, you need to set your goals. Are you trying to get new customers? Are you trying to get conversions and sales? Or are you just trying to get your brand out there? Once you've decided on what you want to do, you can then subdivide your budget based on what you kind of want to focus on. We would recommend putting about 50% of your budget towards PPC first, 30% towards shopping feeds, and the remaining 20% to social media ads.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, Sean. And that's really because you'd want to put most of your efforts towards PPC to begin with, since PPC tends to be a lot more competitive and have higher cost per click, since it's been around a lot longer than PLAs. Sean, I'd say about 2 years or so now?
2 or 3 years as paid rather than the free network. Yeah,
so since shopping feeds is pretty new still, the cost is still relatively low as well. Like I just mentioned. But what's actually pretty positive and great about shopping feeds is that you can actually submit and advertise all of your products rather than just cherry picking a few different areas.
So an even cheaper option to use your ad spend would be Facebook ads, as it allows you to target your brand demographics pretty specifically. For example, you can target those in the market for a new car, parents with kids in the home between the ages of 0 and 3, or those who have recently gotten engaged. Facebook lets you get specific for a decent price.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to get very specific with Facebook ads or target a really wide audience with shopping feeds, just keep in mind that your budget is very dynamic. So you're going to be testing different ad formats and ad campaigns. And what we recommend about 50% here or 30% there, that's just very fluid. You may find a better ROA, return on ad spend, on PPC than you do Facebook, and then you just want to migrate your budget that way.
So our next question is Google Plus still relevant? And how best can you use Google Plus? In the past, this would definitely fall under an SEO strategy. So Meg, is Google Plus still relevant?
Yeah, so the short answer is not really. The longer answer requires just a little bit of history on that social platform. Basically, after Google Plus emerged as a social platform, Google began incorporating what they call social signals as an important ranking factor. This means that if people on social media sites were talking about and linking to your website, it was a signal to Google that the website was popular and could be trusted. At first, Google heavily favored the social signals of its own product over other social platforms because I think they were trying to push it a little bit, but they've since closed that gap. Even then, Google Plus was a lot more important for local businesses than for e-commerce sites because it was so closely tied to the much more popular Google Maps and Google Reviews, both of which really only focus on brick-and-mortar stores that have an address. All that being said, Google did recently admit that Google Plus, quote-unquote, as we know it, is dead. They will maintain a few of the more popular spin-offs that Google Plus created, like Hangouts and Photos, but it's really unclear about how those two products are going to affect the business strategies or whether they even will. So really the smart money for now is on focusing on where your user base is, which is going to be on those more popular platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc.
Our next question is, what are your top 3 tips, must-dos to drive conversions? Josh, I know you're usually a conversion guru. What would your tips be?
Thanks, June. Yeah, well, this is such a great question that I actually tried to shoehorn more than just 3 tips in here. First, if you don't have it already, I would strongly recommend setting up Google Analytics with e-commerce tracking for your store. We set it up for every marketing client, and combined with the data we get from the Volusion software, it provides some really great insights. Okay, with that being said, I'll get into more detail in just a second, but here are 3 things I look at in Google Analytics to see where I can convert existing traffic. Now, 1, I determine where on the site traffic is arriving and where it's leaving. Take a look at what the customers are doing on the site, and then I review the abandoned shopping carts for problems in the checkout process. Now, take a look at your landing and exit pages. Not everyone is coming in on the home page. High bounce rates indicate a poor search result, so take a look at the page as a customer might and fix it where necessary. Also, take a look at your meta descriptions. They may be falsely representing what is actually on that landing page and turning people away when they don't find what they're looking for. Also review your paid search campaigns messaging and URLs. The top result of this screenshot shows a paid search ad with a high bounce rate of 92%. So it's probably not delivering as promised and needs to be fixed. So what are customers doing on your site while they're there? Google's in-page analytics, also known as heat maps, can give an estimation of what your customers are clicking on. Consider promoting frequently clicked on links onto the top of the navigation bar and demote or remove links that are performing poorly. Also, site search. Google has an on-site search feature that is easy to set up for Volusion stores. To do it, just turn on the site search in your analytics property and add the term search, and then save. Once it starts collecting that data, you'll be able to see what percentage of your traffic uses the search tool on your store. If more than 20% of your traffic is using site search, you may want to consider making top search items easier to find by promoting them on the homepage or making sure they are just a click away. Lastly, take a look at your abandoned shopping carts in Google Analytics. With an order completion goal funnel, you can see at what stage they abandon their cart. The screenshot on the left actually shows how you might set that up in your Google Analytics goal settings. Okay, now when we look at the funnel, we somewhat expect to see high rates for people exiting on the way to the checkout page, but over 70% might indicate your pricing or your shipping options are out of line with your competitors. Okay, now once your customer gets to the order checkout page, they typically understand what their total cost is going to be. So if you see a large dropout rate on this page, say over 50%, you'll want to test out your checkout page and verify that your shipping options and billing fields work. I've had more than one client set their shipping option to in-store pickup when they actually didn't even have a physical store. Now, I know this was a lot to look at and I moved a bit quickly, but if you want to review it again at your own speed, this presentation will be available online after we're done here.
Our next question is, I know the importance of marketing, but don't have a lot of free time. What can I do? Sean, I know you're very efficient. What would your tips be?
I try to be too, guys. So Josh just gives a lot of tangibles and things we can take away. I want to talk a little bit more about the philosophy of what we're trying to do with our time. So a little acronym about fessing up is going to be the most helpful. What we're trying to do is we need to find efficiencies, simplify the process, and ultimately sacrifice. So by finding efficiencies, use the built-in software functionality to your advantage. This includes the product descriptions, the meta information, and the on-page content, which you can adapt very easily. With this, the import-export feature is going to be your friend. You can quickly move a lot of content, which is so beneficial for SEO really, really quickly. If you can save 5 minutes by using an import rather than doing it by hand, that's 5 minutes you can be on the phone with the customer or doing lead gen. Second, we need to simplify the process. And we do that by setting certain goals. You won't be able to make to the first page of Google overnight. It's just, there's no magic bullet for SEO. But you can set goals about updating your top 5 products overnight or redesigning your category pages. So set small goals and work towards them. Lastly, if you don't have time, you need to sacrifice to make time. Marketing isn't a luxury, it's a necessity anymore. The idea that if you build it, they will come doesn't exist online anymore. So you need to be making time for at least 15 minutes of marketing every day. And that's the real tangible to take away from this. You need to be spending time on your marketing to have a successful store. Do keyword research, write content, or read online blogs or listen to podcasts. So fess up.
Awesome, thanks. The next question, is there a way to add a blog to my Volusion store? So blogs typically fall within an SEO strategy. So Meg, how can they go about doing this?
Yes, so there's definitely a way to add a blog to your store. Actually, many of our stores really maintain highly successful blogs. We do this via a subdomain structure that takes the form of blog.mystore.com. Blogging is actually one of my favorite SEO and promotional strategies because it's such a great way to share your industry knowledge and prove yourself as an industry thought leader. This is also a really great way to respond to trends, events, holidays, anything that you can add your timely voice to. And obviously you can also have a little bit of fun sharing who you are. For detailed instructions on setting up your own blog on the Volusion store, you can read our article, How to Set Up a Blog for Your Volusion Store. This is on the support pages if you search for it. We'll also be sending out this slide deck later, so that link will be live if you just want to click on it. If you already have a popular offsite blog, you might be more interested in leaving it where it is instead of losing all that great authority accrual and having to build from the ground up. So if that's the case, just make sure the blog reader has an easy way to find your products and your website. If you do want to move an offsite blog to a subdomain of the main site, but you don't want to lose what you built, there are migration strategies that are great. These include 301 redirects back to the subdomain blog, and obviously tell your audience that you've moved and where you are now.
Awesome, thank you. So our next question is, how are people sending out those mass so-and-so would like you to like this page on Facebook? Michaela, how are they doing that?
So first off, you have a few options to increase your page likes. The first thing that I would suggest to anyone who is just starting their social media campaign on Facebook is to invite their friends to like their page. It's one of the fastest, easiest, and cheapest ways to get real people to like your page. The next option, as the question asked, would be to use the suggest page option that can be found at the top of your Facebook business page in the cover photo. Volusion software allows you to export your contact list and upload it to Facebook as a CSV file. Facebook will then send the email that is referenced asking for page likes. To do this, log into your store. Under the inventory tab, you'll find the import and export option. Choose the standard export, customers, check the email address box, and then download it as a CSV file. Other options that you could consider is if you have an email list that you'd like to upload directly to Facebook from Constant Contact, MailChimp, Gmail, or any other email service that your company is currently using, that can be done as well. My pro tip on this would be that the customer email address export can be your best friend, and it works well for targeting your former customers for page likes as well as promoting certain products or sales that your business may be having.
Our next question is, we need help converting our visitors. What marketing strategies can we use to convert the traffic that we are already getting? Josh, what kind of insights do you think they should be using?
Sure. So this is another great question that we get a lot around here. Your site is getting visitors, but you want to encourage more of them to buy. This question asks specifically about marketing solutions, and I've got a few that come to mind. So let's start with remarketing, also known as retargeting. These are basically banner ads that are shown only to your store visitors on whatever sites they visit, not just search engines. You've probably seen similar ads following you around from time to time. Some people find them intrusive, but we find that they actually work. So it keeps your store brand in front of your customer eyeballs whenever they're online. Dynamic shopping feeds are similar to remarketing ads, but they promote actual products your customers have viewed or added to their cart, reminding them that they need to come back and finish their purchase at some time. Email marketing has seen a resurgence in the last couple of years. My clients have seen a lot of success in sending targeted emails to their customers with relevant information and incentives to purchase, like coupons and special deals that are just for them. Also, social media is a great way to create a community around your industry. You can use that and social media advertising to help keep your store top of mind for when your customer is ready to actually buy.
Our next question is, can you tell me more about what's going on with mobile devices and SEO? So Meg, what's going on with that?
I would be happy to talk about that. This is a very timely issue, so I might spend a little bit of extra time on this answer because y'all have about 2 weeks to really get yourselves ready for it. Actually, one of the people who wrote in about this called it mobile get-in, which I thought was kind of funny. Don't panic. We got you covered. So basically what's happening is that Google announced back in March that on April 21st, their search engine algorithm will shift dramatically to favor sites that can provide a great mobile experience. Now, the thing is, this applies to mobile search results only, so your desktop search results will probably remain about as they were, but every industry is heavily impacted by mobile searches, traffic, and conversions, so you do have to take this really seriously. When we say mobile-friendly, we can mean one of two things. So mobile-friendly design means that the site loads properly on a mobile device without any bugs or glaring visual or user experience issues. Responsive design, on the other hand, is a popular form of web development that enables the site's design to actually adapt to the size of the user screen. So it'll adjust the amount of texts or links or calls to action based on how much room the screen will provide for that. You can test whether your own site is mobile friendly via Google's free mobile testing tool. This will just run it through your website, let you know whether it's mobile friendly, and if it's not, it's going to provide you some feedback about what you can do to fix it. Now, if you're on the Volusion platform, you're in luck because there are a couple straightforward ways to fix it. First of all, if you're using a legacy template that might have been coded before mobile design really became popular, you're going to want to switch your templates to mobile commerce as soon as you can, or go back to your configuration variables and select the M-commerce button. We would really encourage you to see this as a short-term solution, given that responsive design is much, much more popular and much better for the user these days. So if you can switch your template over to a responsive one, that would be great. We have a lot of really, really beautiful free ones that you can check out. And obviously, it's great to get this done as soon as you possibly can.
Thanks, Meg. That is really important because that update's obviously coming down the pipeline this month. So our next question is, how can I quickly see where a drop or rise in sales is coming from or is occurring? This usually we can see in Google Analytics. So Josh, maybe you can shed some more light on that.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So to answer this question, I'll show you the report I usually look at when I first log into a Google Analytics account. To quickly see the makeup of your store's revenue, take a look at the Google's Acquisition Overview report. Then change the date range to compare two different time ranges, and then just sort by revenue. So we'll use this store's data below and look at their revenue month over month. So if you look at the far right, you will see that it's up overall by 5.2%, but the majority of that growth actually came from organic search. You can drill down even further if you want to by clicking on, say here, the referral group to see where revenue might have dropped off over the last month. And then concentrate your future marketing efforts on those specific sites and turn around those sales.
Our next question is, where should I focus my limited resources when marketing uncool products like safety supplies? Sean, I know that you're familiar with uncool things.
No respect. So the perception of your products isn't going to change your market niche. So you should focus marketing uncool products just like you would any other product that may be quote-unquote cool or flashy. So what you should do is you need to research your intended market. Find its age, its usage, and demographics. The best way to do this would be to add the demographic tag to your universal Google Analytics. The little arrow is pointing to just a single line which you need to add to your code, which will help to collect this data. Once you have this data, you can actually develop marketing personas. You may discover that the market you believe you're marketing to doesn't actually exist. It could be that the person finally doing the conversion is using the boss's credit card, or you're really marketing to stay-at-home moms when you should be marketing to school districts trying to buy safety supplies in bulk. That's why marketing personas are so valuable. Focus on targeting via paid search or SEO with these targeted keywords. And lastly, just try to be professional, reliable, and relevant. If you're going to use humor or a flashy approach for something uncool or safety, it may disrupt your brand presence. So you just want to be as professional as possible and just keep it as closely related to the products as possible.
So our next question is, how do I find content specific for my business to post on social media? Michaela, where should people start with this?
So original content, especially videos, continues to be pretty popular with fans. Don't be afraid to share behind-the-scenes photos and videos from your business, highlighting any new products that you may have just received, day-to-day activities, or any sales that you may be having. Flash sales tend to perform well with social media when they're paired up with a nice image and a link taking the user directly to the sale. Feel free to share photos of happy customers using your products. These happy customers can become your brand ambassadors, and it's one of the easiest ways to get pictures of your products in use. A human touch never hurts with your social media efforts. You're more likely to have higher engagement rates when you interact with your fans as opposed to only posting about products without a voice. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Engagement can be incorporated into your content via trending topics that can be found on Facebook or Twitter. Basically, if it's relevant to your brand, don't hesitate to post.
Our last question that we sourced from the webinar registration is, should we bid on our branded terms? Chelsea, I know this is one of your favorite things. So should they bid on branded terms? And what do we mean by those?
I have a lot of favorite things today. Yes, absolutely. You should definitely be bidding on your own branded terms. So basically, the natural listings are dynamically populated after each search. So your company may or may not be always putting the best foot forward. So by actively bidding on your company's own branded terms, you can have a little bit more control over your messaging and let users know exactly what you want them to, when you want them to. You can also knock out your competitors out of the auction. So oftentimes we see competitors bidding on their own competitors' branded terms in an effort to steal traffic away from them. So that's actually a really great strategy. But you can bid on your own branded terms to bid above and rise above their ads. And in some instances, because you're the most relevant for your own branded terms, you'll knock them out and prevent them from showing up at all. You can also triple your visibility by using branded terms, shopping feeds, organic listings, to really beef up the search results and dominate that page. So, of course, when you're dominating the page, you're most likely to go ahead and get that click. Another great benefit is your quality scores and CPCs, cost per clicks. Since the relevancy of your branded terms are pretty high, the quality scores will most likely be extremely high as well. And that's, of course, going to keep your costs down in the long run. In my opinion, it's really always going to be in your best interest to pay a few dollars a month than to lose several sales to a competitor. And then lastly, a branded campaign will improve overall account performance. And with a healthier account, you'll find a higher chance of improved results across the board and an even higher chance of greater quality scores for any new keywords that you decide to add to your account later on.
So we'll now go into the live Q&A, and we'll answer some of the questions that you have been sending in for us to answer. So our first question is, what is a bounce rate?
I'll talk about that. This is Josh again. Since I mentioned bounce rate and didn't explain it, I think it falls on me. So a bounce rate is basically when someone lands on a singular landing page on your site. Oftentimes it's a home page. It could be a product page coming from a shopping feed or a PPC ad. But they come to only one page on your site and then don't interact with it, don't click on it, don't go to another page. That's called a bounce rate. And there's a couple good reasons for having a high bounce rate. Like I said, average bounce rates we see are above 60%. But if you shop like I do, you might do a Google search, click on a lot of different links, and open them in new tabs, and never actually even visit that page.
So we typically think of it as when a user comes to a page and then immediately leaves, and you want low bounce rates for websites.
Yeah, I'm just going to hop in here real quick from an SEO perspective. It's great for user experience to be able to stay on the site.
Our next question is how to generate more clicks. I would assume with this question they're talking about most likely through paid search.
So generating more clicks, so with PPC, it's really about the quality of the traffic rather than the quantity. So my best recommendation is to go ahead and check your search query reports pretty often to make sure that your keyword match types are really tight and they're not bringing in irrelevant traffic. So when you go ahead and add those negative keywords to your account, you'll get rid of that traffic right away, which will help allocate budget accordingly to the keywords that actually do matter. And then make sure you're pausing poor quality keywords with low quality scores, that racking up a bunch of spend but aren't really producing results, or just have a low CTR, so the low click-through rate. If it has a low click-through rate, that's typically going to indicate that that keyword isn't really relevant to the audience and they're not really engaged with it.
Okay, thanks. Our next question is, what is the most important field in your online store templates to be filled out from an SEO sake, from an SEO standpoint?
Oh, okay. So the most important fields, there are two of them. One would be the meta title and one would be the meta description. The meta title is going to contain the keywords that you've researched prior, probably in the most natural way you can. Look up the character count for that. It has to be 160 or less so that it'll show up. The meta description probably should contain the keywords just because people are searching for those, but Google doesn't actually read the keywords of the meta description. This one's for the user. So you're going to want to write really, really enticing content there with a call to action that hopefully provides a huge benefit for the user.
And I'll jump in because one of the other questions was, are meta tag keywords still relevant? Those are no longer relevant. You will still hear within SEO people speak about keywords. Mainly these are just terms that we have researched and that you're trying to target for each landing page, category, subcategory. So the meta tag keywords are no longer important. The title tag or meta tag is very important. One of the other questions someone had asked onto that as well, is it specific to caps or no caps?
Caps has no effect. I wouldn't add caps in the meta description. That kind of looks like you're yelling at people, but SEO-wise, it doesn't have an impact.
You just want to keep in mind you want to make it natural for readers because users will actually be able to see those.
Mm-hmm.
So our next question is, we have a fair amount of traffic, but simply cannot get traffic to convert. What are we missing? Obviously, Josh talked about a couple of conversion strategies during the presentation, but maybe what else are they missing?
Sure. So there's a couple things. Most likely, there are two different sides to this question. One is, how are people arriving to your site? What kind of messaging do you have out there? Is it relevant to your site and the landing pages that they're arriving on? We see that maybe pay-per-click is getting a lot of clicks to the site. They're not converting because maybe they're not going to the appropriate page for that ad. The other thing to keep in mind is actually your site navigation is a good thing to look at. Can people easily find what it is that they're looking for? Again, is it relevant to your messaging? Or do people have to click several layers down into your site to find exactly what they're looking for?
And I would also jump in that you might look at your actual checkout setups. So how much are you charging for shipping compared to how much your prices of the products are? And also, are you making sure to use multiple forms of payment? For example, multiple credit cards along with PayPal. That sometimes can make people, not convert. So our next question is there ever a case when AdWords, which is Google's tool to run your paid search campaigns, is not advisable?
I can go. So yes, it is. I would actually recommend, if you do have a lower budget, since Google is so incredibly competitive, I would definitely go with Bing. But if you do find that your product is super, super niche, you'd still want to do some advertising on AdWords, but I would really focus your efforts on display advertising and making sure that your targeting is super tight. So are you targeting, I really want to say diabetics right now, I don't know why, but if you're targeting diabetics, maybe you would want to make sure that your ads are going to any kind of blog or content that's targeting specific diabetics and whatever information they might need. And then also implementing a remarketing campaign, that's also going to be your best bet. Maybe not for diabetics because there are some restrictions for healthcare and medical needs, but that was the best example I could come up with off the top of my head.
I would jump in too and say that sometimes Google is going to have restricted areas and products that you cannot advertise. So for example, a lot of supplements and e-cigarettes, guns, weapons, so those things Google is not going to allow you to advertise. So therefore, we would obviously not recommend it. There's also some industries that do just tend to be a little bit more expensive. And so, that might be better to focus your efforts towards like social media or SEO.
But just to go back to that remarketing campaign, if you add that tag, that's really, really a great route to go for a pretty inexpensive campaign. Remarketing is really, really great with Google right now because the Google Display Network does have so many millions of websites that you can really capture your audience on.
So our next question is, I sell food from Philadelphia. How do I market to everyone in the U.S., not just Philadelphia?
I'll take this one. So it looks like it came from social media, so thanks, Joseph, for sending this along. If you're selling food specifically in Philadelphia, you probably have a very strong local SEO presence. You may also have a brick and mortar. So the idea of going from a brick and mortar to a brick and click is actually very easy. If you're using paid search, just look at your location targeting. I still actually recommend focusing your marketing efforts in the surrounding area because if you're selling food, people are going to be expecting overnight shipping or next day delivery, just probably for freshness. So still think local and just advertise a little bit broader. Your market on-page content could be expanded out to be worldwide, but you just want to focus on growing a small, loyal customer base and then moving forward from there. So that's what I would recommend.
I think another option with that, if you choose to dabble into social media marketing, you could target those that their hometown is Philly, but they are currently not living in Philly. They are living elsewhere. The audience might be small, but it might work well where, if somebody's homesick and they're missing food from Philly, just as if somebody from Austin moved away and began missing breakfast tacos. There's a good chance that your ad will catch their attention when it shows up on their newsfeed.
Awesome, thanks. The next question is, my Google Analytics account shows everything except conversions. It shows 0 sales when there are dozens. What is the reason?
Sure, this is Josh. I can answer that. So Google Analytics tracking is fairly simple. There's a script that it generates that you can put in your template, so it'll appear on all pages, but it won't track sales until you add an e-commerce conversion code on your order finish page. Now, we do that as a service to all of our marketing service clients. We also offer that as a service because it is actually a custom code. You'll notice that Google doesn't really provide any good direction on how to build that code because it's different for every platform. So it's also possible that you have an e-commerce code on your order finish page. For Volusion, we actually use Article 130. But if you have, I've seen a lot of people have their script in their template in their body instead of the header portion of their template, in which case it won't track e-commerce sales.
Okay, good deal. I know we definitely see that from clients. Our next one is, do H1, H2 tags matter to Google anymore? And how do you add those to the Volusion site?
I got this. So H1 and H2 tags, first of all, they're a way of organizing your website. So they show up actually on the website itself. H1 is usually like the header, the title of your page content, and then H2 is another way of just organizing that by sub-content. Is it important for SEO? Yeah, it still is, but it's like such a tiny, tiny piece of the pie. It's great to do as a best practice. It's just really important to not like focus on one specific best practice because there are so many. How do you add it to the storefront? You're actually going to want to write your H1s directly into your HTML code of your product or category descriptions. It's a super easy tag to implement. You can literally Google how to write an H1 tag HTML. It's basically going to tell you to put the H1 in carets first, and then write your title, and then close up that H1 in some more carets. Super easy.
Awesome. One of the other questions was, do you have any resources on how to use Google Analytics? So just real quick, we do, if you'll go to the Volusion homepage under the main resources tag or page, then there is the support and knowledge base as well as the blog. You can just search in there. We've actually done a couple of webinars. We did a webinar last summer on it that's still very applicable, and there's been blogs written as well. Those would be the two resources I would say. You can just go to the Volusion website and actually search for those. So our next question is, how do I reduce bounce rates on the website? We obviously spoke earlier about what a bounce rate is. So maybe we can just get a couple of quick ways to reduce those.
Yeah, I got this. Really, it's gonna be all about that content. So you're gonna just write really great content, you guys. I mean, if you don't feel confident in doing it, hire a writer. It could be a great decision for you. And make sure it's really compelling, interesting, explains everything to the reader. They're gonna want to read it.
I'll add on to that. Make sure that your most important content is above the fold. So we say above the fold, but that's really what you see first when you look at a screen. I've had some clients that have a big banner ad that doesn't show exactly what they do, but something that's personal to them. Like maybe it's made in the USA, and that's great. But people are usually want to see see the products they're looking for first, and then know other things like these were actually made in the USA.
Yeah, and one last really quick thing. If you do write something that mentions a product or something that's referenced on another page, you can provide a link to that page and then the user will follow it.
So the next question is, if we offer free shipping for a limited time and take it away, will people get offended? I think this is a good question because I think it depends on your products. I think it depends on how you advertise it. For example, if you promote it like that, limited time, free shipping, as a user, I would understand it truly is a limited time.
I'll jump in really quickly and say that these are some of the things we talk about converting people. This is a call to action, and it keeps people from thinking they can come back at any time and have the same offer. So any type of call to action that can get people to buy today instead of waiting to tomorrow, and this is one of them, is I think a great tool to use, as long as it's clear to your audience that it's for a limited time.
Yeah, but that said, we have had people figure out that their products are not reasonable to ship. It's just going to be too much. If this is the case, there are ways you can overcome it. Like some of our clients actually put like little free shipping icons on the products that they can ship. You can still write into your call to action, look for the free shipping icon for additional savings.
I know with our social media campaigns, offering free shipping is a great way to help your fans convert into customers. We run ads all the time for free shipping this weekend, free shipping over $100. It's a great way to engage with your audience and help get them back to your site to purchase.
Awesome. The next question is, how do you balance social media campaigns and using contests without attracting mostly freebie seekers?
So freebie seekers are definitely always going to exist no matter which network you are on. The best way to combat this is to target and boost to your page fans or the friends of your page fans, I guess. It's the easiest way to say that. Target specifically. If you're wanting to target certain demographics, Facebook will allow you to pinpoint those demographics to push this giveaway to. And feel free to share your promotion across all the channels. If you're running a promo for the week, be sure to link on Twitter and Facebook, change your Instagram link in the bio that leads directly to the promo so that people are able to go and enter your giveaway.
Okay, good deal. Our next question, how can I tell if actual human customers are visiting my web store versus myself or robots?
Sure, I can take that. So again, going back to Google Analytics, there are two settings that we set up for all of our clients that can help eliminate your own traffic as well as bot traffic. Both are in the admin section of your Google Analytics account. If you look under the view settings area, you'll see a checkbox for bot filtering. You check it, it'll exclude all hits from known bots and spiders, and from that point on, it'll stop counting bot traffic as regular traffic. Now, you might want to also keep in mind, make a note of this so that as you see a drop in traffic, you'll know that that's just excluding the bot traffic and it's not actually affecting your sales. The other thing we do is we set up filters in Google Analytics to exclude our clients' IP as well as our own IP addresses. You can find your IP address by searching "what is my IP" in Google. Type that number in, exclude that in your filter, and then you'll stop tracking your own traffic. And this isn't usually a problem until unless you're getting very few clicks or for beginning sites, in which case your own traffic can be affecting the data that you're seeing.
Awesome, and I think we only have time for one, maybe a second question. One of the questions we had gotten earlier was, can you talk about the search results shown with photos and price, how to set that up? So that's going to be Google Shopping, also known as product listing ads. People had also asked how to get the most out of those. So Sean, you can jump in.
Oh, excellent. So this is definitely my role. So what that earlier was, that result page was Google Shopping. The way to set this up is going to be a data feed. What you essentially do is take all the product information out of your store, change the column headers and format it to the way Google likes, and submit it to their Google Merchant Center. This is a really big, long question, so after this webinar, we're going to follow up with a blog post, and I'll put in specific links and how-tos of how to set this up via your Volusion dashboard automatically to help you get your advertising and get started there. So it's a big question. I could talk an entire webinar about it, so we'll follow up in a blog post afterwards.
And on those, you're going to make sure that your product descriptions and product titles are going to be really important, because I know people would ask about what getting the most out of that.
Absolutely.
So you want to make sure that that's there. So our last question, where can I find a Google expert?
We're experts. Our entire team is definitely certified. Sean being certified in everything. But you can also go ahead and contact Google directly. Their phone number is 866-2-GOOGLE, or you can also contact them on their help center. They have different ways that you can talk to them, chat, you can video chat them, send them an email, all that great stuff. So definitely you can contact them or talk to us.
Chelsea's obviously been contacting Google a lot.
Yeah, I talk to them every day.
Okay, it turns out actually we have time for I think one more. The last one was, how do we use Instagram for marketing?
Sorry, I had to do the Instagram flex. So Instagram is a great option for your social media campaigns if you have products that work well with photos. Feel free to post images of new products that you have, how someone's wearing a certain dress, hat, watch, whatever your products may be, and then hashtag accordingly. Instagram does allow you to add several hashtags, but I wouldn't go crazy with it. I would suggest adding anywhere from 3 to 5. Feel free to jump on trends that are popular on Instagram. For instance, Throwback Thursday, Motivation Monday, Toy Tuesday, whatever works for your industry. Jump on that train and then just keep it consistent and stay on that train.
And Instagram does typically work best when you have the products actually on hand and people using them naturally, more so than I think Facebook or other areas. It also is a timelier channel. So for example, you can do like hashtag latergram, but you don't want your whole entire feed to be those. It needs to be current and of the moment type things.
Definitely.
Thank you all for joining us. That is all the time we've got today. Again, we'll follow up with a blog to help answer any of the questions we didn't get around to. Also, if you have questions and want help with your marketing strategy, feel free to call our marketing advertisers at 877-591-7006 or email at services@volusion.com to get advice on those strategies. Have a great rest of the day.